I'm a totally normal bodyguard, protecting a totally normal CEO. Until I was suddenly pulled into a private work chat. I spent the entire night reading every single piece of fanfiction they had shared about me and my boss. By the time I got to the last one, I couldn't take it anymore. Who wrote this? Have they no soul? Who the hell wrote a scene with the two of us in bed? My name is Felix. As my name suggests, I'm a pretty disciplined guy. I've been a diligent bodyguard my entire career, and in less than 3 years, I became the CEO's top guy. My boss always says that when I'm around, nobody can touch a hair on his head. He didn't need to tell me that. The way I patrol his office day in and day out with a fly swatter should tell you everything. I won't let a single living creature touch a hair on his head. I never imagined that after all these years of professional, respectful service, my reputation as straight as an arrow, couldn't be straighter guy would be completely trashed by people secretly writing fanfic about me and the boss, and making me the bottom. If my mom and dad saw this, how could I ever face them? I left home for 2 years to build a career, not to get into this kind of mess. This is outrageous. They're monsters. They must be punished. Severely. This is slander. It's defamation. With that thought, I finished preparing the CEO's coffee, determined to report this injustice. I was met with the back of my boss as he stood overlooking the bustling city traffic below. How could a man like him, so powerful, so untouchable, be turned into a joke alongside me? A man of exceptional talent, dashing good looks, and undeniable charm. I walked up to him, filled with righteous anger and about to speak, when I was frozen by the sight before me. I clapped a hand over my mouth, stumbling back in shock. The CEO, he was actually smiling. I've worked here for 3 years. This is the first time I have ever seen my boss smile. Sir? My voice snapped him out of it. The smile vanished from his lips. He hooked a chair with his leg and sat down. Why didn't you knock? I practically knocked my knuckles raw. He nodded thoughtfully. I took a step forward. Sir, what's got you so happy? Nothing. Then why were you smiling? My mouth was tired, so I let it rest upwards for a bit. I was about to bring up the fanfiction when he turned and asked me out of the blue. Felix, if someone is constantly trying to get your attention, does that mean she likes me? Who's trying to get your attention? Felix, what do you think of my looks? Very CEO-like. Felix, what do you think of my personality? Very CEO-like. Felix, what kind of person do you think I'd like? A very CEO, I caught myself as I processed the question. What? Sir, are you? Do you have a crush on someone? Who is it? He shook his head and smiled softly. I just met someone very special. My heart skipped a beat. Pursed my lips. Is it a woman? What else? A girl. Okay, that's fine. I let out a sigh of relief, patting my chest discreetly. Wait a minute. Why the hell am I relieved? My boss isn't some character from a fanfic. Of course he likes girls. So why do I feel like I just dodged a bullet? I asked you a question, my boss said, taking the coffee from my hand. He looked up at me, seeming to genuinely await my answer. I had actually thought about this before. What kind of perfect, high society woman would be worthy of a man as incredible as my boss? I'd even started scouting potential partners for him, since he was hitting that age. It's not like he was ever short on female attention, but no one ever seemed to stick around for more than a moment. But now, with him asking me, my mind couldn't help but flash back to last night's fanfiction. No, how could I think such dirty thoughts in front of my boss? I immediately slapped myself across the face. Damn it! He stared at me, his eyes filled with confusion. What are you doing? I hadn't held back, and I almost knocked myself out. I took a second to recover, then shook my head. Nothing. So who's the woman you like? Does she work here? At the mention of her, the corners of his mouth turned up uncontrollably. He nodded. She really works here? Who? Who managed to get to the boss under my watch? He pursed his lips shyly. Sarah. Seeing my silence, my boss looked confused. What's wrong? Do you know her? My face darkened. Oh, I know her. She's the admin of the group chat where they're writing fanfic about the two of us. Felix, what's with you today? You keep zoning out. I rolled my eyes and remembered what he'd said earlier. Why did you say Sarah is trying to get your attention? What did she do? Thinking of Sarah, Joseph suddenly gave a bashful smile. She's always following me. He then shook his head, smiling helplessly. Following you? She dares to follow you? I lost it. How is she following you? When? She's doing this on my watch and she has the nerve to follow you? What an insult to my professionalism. When does she do it, morning or night? How have I never noticed? Where does she follow you to? Did she follow you home? No wonder the details in the bedroom scenes were so vivid. That old perv. Don't you worry, sir. I'm coming home with you tonight. I'll take care of her. My voice echoed through the entire office. Even employees walking by couldn't help but peek inside. I was so furious I started waving the boss's black suit jacket around like a madman. Joseph stared at me, his face a twisted mask of confusion. After a long moment, he finally spoke, his voice laced with resignation. Could you please put my jacket down? I came back to my senses. Joseph was still trying to process what I just said, while I was silently cursing Sarah, hoping both her eyes would have to take turns standing guard while she slept. It's one thing to write fanfic about us, but to make my boss think she's into him? Don't you know he's the king of overthinking things? What's he going to do when he finds out the truth? You mentioned bedroom details. What bedroom details? Oh crap. He got to that part. I was so worked up I just blurted it out. I tried to look away, staring out the window. I had no idea how to explain this. What was I supposed to say? The person you have a crush on is busy writing explicit scenes about the two of us? That doesn't sound right. That definitely doesn't sound right. Damn you, Sarah. One of these days, I'm taking you down with me. My brain was spinning when suddenly, the door burst open with a bang. I turned to see Sarah rushing in. She grabbed my hands excitedly, her eyes brimming with tears of joy. What bedroom details? Whose bedroom details? What did you do to the boss? Tell me, did you finally do it? My boy, did you land him? I stared at her blankly for 2 seconds before I realized what was happening. I glanced at the crowd of people gathered outside the door. I recognized them. They were all the most active members of the group chat. Are they seriously shipping us in public? In broad daylight? No, this is a pain I must bear alone. The next second, like a wild monkey on a beach, I grabbed a broom and shooed the whole mob away. Then, under my boss's stunned gaze, I dragged Sarah out of the office like a corpse for the crime of trespassing. You got pulled into the group chat? Sarah, who I dragged downstairs for coffee, spit out a mouthful of her drink. Her face was bright red as she frantically scrolled through the member list on her phone. She tapped on the last person added, and an avatar of a cartoon sheep with a deadpan expression filled the screen. She paused, then muttered, "So the idiot with the dumb sheep avatar was you." I knew it looked familiar. Lady, could you at least try to insult me behind my back? Realizing she'd said that out loud, Sarah looked at me sheepishly and pushed my coffee closer. Have some coffee, calm down. It was my fault for not screening new members properly. Don't worry, it won't happen again. I already kicked you out. Don't be mad. Okay? Is me being in the group chat really the main issue here? I almost laughed from pure rage. You guys are secretly writing fanfiction about us? And it's so, my face flushed. Did you even get our permission? And another thing, why am I the bottom? I'm a beast. I have an 8-pack. Do I look like some delicate flower to you? I'm so sorry, it's just that the boss top you bottom pairing is more popular in the group. But there are fics where you're the top. I wrote one just yesterday. Here, this one. I wrote it last night. You can check it out. You're super dominant in this one. A total stud. And so, I spent the next hour sitting with Sarah, reading the new story she wrote last night. It was only when my boss texted me asking where I was that I, red-faced, handed her phone back. So, what did you think? Was it good? I cleared my throat and rubbed my burning ears. It was okay. Sarah leaned in close. If it was just, okay. Why are you blushing? Who's blushing? I snapped. Is it because you made it so graphic? Okay? It's supposed to be romance, so why all the making out? And if you're going to write kissing scenes, why do you keep describing how soft the boss's lips are? How would you even know if his lips are soft? Sarah tilted her head. Are they hard? They're fine. Not that hard. Sarah squinted at me. I don't get the wrong idea. I've never kissed him. I just had to put some medicine on a canker sore for him once and accidentally touched them. Sarah nodded with fake seriousness, clicking her tongue. Oh, I see. I never should have explained. That woman is definitely twisting my words in her head. Still, you've been with the boss for so many years. Have you never thought about it? How could I not have feelings? The boss is so brilliant, so handsome, and such a good person. Of course I have feelings, but it's just admiration. How could I ever think of him that way? No, I denied it instantly. Sarah sighed, looking a little disappointed. Yeah, I guess you're right. Our shipping is our own thing. We can't expect you guys to act on our fantasies. Then, she reached out and tilted my chin up. Look at me. I met her gaze as she directed. She stared at me for 5 seconds, then let go. Maybe it's because we're fanfic girls, but we see romance everywhere. But I always felt there was something different about you and the boss. Like just now, you would never look at me or anyone else with the same expression you have when you look at him. Expression? Yeah, the look in your eyes, how do I put it? It's like restrained. Like you want to get closer, but you're afraid you'd be tainting something sacred. You're reading way too much into this. That's ridiculous. Is it? Sarah stared at me, as if trying to pull the truth right out of my eyes. A wave of irritation I couldn't explain washed over me, and I slammed my hands on the table, shooting to my feet. It's reverence. That's reverence. I glared at her, and under her knowing gaze, I fled the coffee shop. I can't be into my boss. It's absolutely impossible. Sarah is just talking nonsense. She's making wild assumptions just because I look at him differently. Besides, the boss is amazing. I bet if she really got to know him, she wouldn't be able to look at him with a blank expression either. It's reverence. Definitely reverence. Felix, I've been a straight guy my whole life. How could I possibly like my boss? If I liked him, could I have stayed over at his place all these years without a single impure thought? Felix, she can't even tell the difference between admiration and a crush, and she dares to ship people? The nerve. Felix, are you deaf? I was sprawled on the boss's sofa, lost in thought, when his sharp yell pulled me back to reality. I shot up. Here. I'm here. What's wrong? Is there a cockroach? A bug? Where is it? I'll get it. My boss just stared at me, his suppressed anger ready to erupt. But I was frozen, staring at Joseph, my mind buzzing. He was standing in front of me, clearly just out of the shower. The lower half of his body was wrapped in some kind of colorful cloth. He ran a hand through his hair in frustration, slicking the wet strands back and revealing his handsome face completely. Drops of water trickled down from his chin, tracing a path down his abs. Did you wash my pajamas? I nodded, my mind a million miles away. They were new, never mind. If you washed them, couldn't you have at least put a fresh pair by the door? I was yelling for you to bring me pajamas for ages. What were you thinking about? I was thinking you have a really nice body, sir. I usually only ever saw him in a suit. Even though I stayed over all the time, he'd never been shirtless in front of me. I always thought he was just thin, but now I could see that there wasn't an ounce of extra fat on his lean frame. Perhaps my gaze was too intense, because Joseph slowly crossed his arms over his chest. What are you talking about? Finally snapping back to reality, I frantically waved my hands. No, I was just giving you a compliment. I didn't mean anything by it. Don't get the wrong idea. I'm definitely not checking you out or trying to peep on you. Wait, it's not peeping. I'm not a peeper. I don't like you. Don't misunderstand. Who said you liked me? Why are you so flustered? Joseph reached out and placed a hand on my forehead. What's wrong with you tonight? You're acting crazy. His hand was still dripping wet. As it rested on my forehead, a drop of water rolled down the bridge of my nose. Why are you dodging? Felix, do you have a fever? You feel a little warm. I scrambled away, jumping onto the sofa like a startled cat, with my boss in hot pursuit. I'm tired. I need to sleep. It's only 5 o'clock. What are you sleeping for? Come here, let me see if you have a fever. I don't have a fever. Stop chasing me. I need to eat. Now you want to eat? Joseph lunged for me. Just as his fingers brushed my neck, my foot landed on the cloth wrapped around his waist. As it slipped down, I went with it, sliding into a kneel right in front of him. Felix, because I had offended the boss, he banished me from the bedroom for the night. I lay on the sofa, my phone buzzing like crazy with notifications. From the bedroom, Joseph yelled, "Silent mode." I quickly switched it to vibrate. Sarah was still blowing up my phone. "You're staying at the boss's place again tonight? Where are you sleeping? Are you in the same bed? Does he sleep with clothes on? What have you two been doing for the last hour?" Resisting the urge to smash my phone, I replied, "You need to stop being such a creep." Sarah replied instantly, "Are you ordering me around? Is that how you talk to the boss? Piss off." "Sarah, don't be so mean. We're just genuinely curious. Why does the boss always have you stay over? Think about it, has he ever brought anyone else home? Don't you think maybe he likes you a little and just hasn't realized it yet?" "Me. It's because he's scared of the dark and of bugs. That's why he always asks me to stay. And I sleep on a small cot he set up for me." "It's not what you think." Sarah was shocked. "He set up a cot for you in his room? And you're telling me that's not love?" "Love, my ass. The one he loves is you." I was getting seriously annoyed. I didn't reply to Sarah, just buried my face in a cushion and kicked my legs in frustration. There was no sound from the bedroom, he was probably asleep. I lay there, wide awake, my mind replaying Sarah's words. "Don't you think maybe he likes you a little and just hasn't realized it yet?" I remembered the way my heart hammered in my chest during our close call earlier, and I unconsciously touched my chest. Is it really possible to like someone and not even know it yourself? Felix, after 3 years as a bodyguard, I'd say I'm pretty damn good at my job. At the very least, whenever Joseph calls my name, I can respond in a split second. So even when I was deep in an unspeakable dream, I was still able to jolt awake, instantly alert. "I'm here." I was about to sit up, but when I opened my eyes, Joseph's hand was on my forehead. He looked like he hadn't slept well. The dark circles under his eyes were obvious, and his normally perfect hair was a mess. I lay on the sofa, just staring at him. The sofa beneath me felt like a giant vortex, pulling me down. I was finding it hard to breathe, but I knew, somehow, that if I could just get a little closer to him, I'd be okay again. I thought it, and then I did it. I propped myself up, moving closer to that face that was so intoxicating in this moment. Closer and closer. I don't know why, but I definitely wasn't trying to kiss him or do anything more. I just wanted to be closer. Joseph glanced down at me, his dark lashes fluttering. Then he reached out and started to unbutton my shirt. I was still lost in my own world when I felt the sudden touch of his fingertips. It was just a light brush, but it sent a jolt of electricity through my heart and down to my limbs. Joseph was looking right at me, his hands slowly moving down from my neck. I swallowed hard, a strange thrill running through me. What was with this tense, forbidden feeling? We're completely innocent, right? Also, isn't this moving a little too fast? We're just jumping right into this? My breathing grew heavier. Even though my brain was screaming that this was wrong, my body wouldn't move. I haven't even figured out our feelings for each other yet. Is it really okay to do this? What if he's just acting on an early morning impulse? His hand was on my chest now. I trembled slightly, biting my lip until it was raw. This is wrong. Wrong. Stop. Felix, you can't give in. The boss might be confused, but you can't be. Gritting my teeth, I shoved him away and yelled, "This is wrong." Joseph stumbled backward and fell to the floor. I gasped for air, relieved. My boss sat on the ground, staring at me in complete shock. I followed his gaze to his hand, which was holding the thermometer he had just pulled from my armpit. "What's wrong? Felix, what's with that shy look on your face? What did you think I was going to do to you?" "Sorry, sir. I didn't realize you were taking my temperature. I just woke up. My head's a little foggy." I cleared my throat, unable to look him in the eye. Joseph just gave a cold O and said nothing more. As a proper CEO, he was trained from a young age to never show his emotions. To most people, Joseph never gets angry. But I knew. He was angry now. It was like a calm sea. No wind, no rain, but underneath the surface, a storm was raging. Just then, at the worst possible moment, Sarah was still messaging me, asking why neither of us had shown up to the office. I glanced up at Joseph and typed back furtively, "I had a fever last night. The boss took care of me. He's probably just tired, so we didn't go in." Sarah, "He took care of you all night?" Me, "Yeah. And I think I just made him really mad." Sarah, "What happened?" Me, "I thought he was going to kiss me, so I pushed him away." I sent it without thinking. On the other end, Sarah's typing bubble appeared and disappeared frantically. After a moment, she just sent a voice message. I meant to use the text-to-speech function, but my hand slipped and I played it out loud. Sarah's voice screeched like a pig being slaughtered. "The boss tried to kiss you?" He was still lying there, his phone on the other side of him as he texted someone. When he heard my phone, his thumbs paused, and he lifted his eyes to look at me. I started trembling. His expression didn't change. He just glanced at me before looking back down at his phone, showing no intention of speaking to me. I was about to lose my mind. What did that mean? Is he mad or did he not hear it? Just put me out of my misery. Joseph wasn't talking, which made me even more afraid to speak. I curled up on the sofa like a dog that had just wrecked the house. Whoever he was texting was sending message after message. Joseph's thumbs were moving so fast they could have started a fire. It felt like I was the only person in the world being tortured. After what felt like an eternity, the notifications on his phone finally stopped. Joseph looked up. His neck seemed stiff from looking down for so long, and he pressed a palm against it, rubbing gently. I swallowed hard, watching him. "Are you and Sarah close?" He could recognize Sarah's voice even from that pig squeal of a scream. Guess he really is in love. I looked down. Just regular friends. Regular friends? He let out a strange little laugh. "Do regular friends text you from last night all the way through to this morning? You and I are close, but I don't see you ever texting me." He was getting jealous over a few texts with her. It's only been a few days, and he's already this smitten? That girl would be thrilled if we were texting all the time. I sighed and decided to get straight to the point. "Are you jealous of me and Sarah? There's really nothing between us. There's no way she'd like me." I don't know what I said to set him off again, but he just got angrier, practically spitting his words out. "Yeah, right. A blockhead like you, who would like you?" He stood up and tossed the thermometer onto the table. "Are you done lounging around my house? Eat and then go home." Before I could say anything, Joseph had already stalked back into his bedroom, slamming the door with a loud bang. What did I say wrong? I was trying to explain. He's really that crazy about Sarah? Joseph seemed genuinely angry. He hasn't asked me to stay over at his place for a week. For someone so terrified of the dark, he'd usually have me over whenever I was free. In the 3 years I've worked for him, I've spent more time at his place than my own. I wanted to try and smooth things over, but he was acting completely normal, not angry at all. I couldn't just randomly ask him, "If you're not mad, why haven't you invited me over?" That would be just making things awkward. This was so frustrating. I stirred my coffee so hard I nearly broke the spoon. Meanwhile, he'd had Sarah in his office for half an hour. I stood on a chair, peering through the glass partition. Sarah was waving her arms around, talking animatedly, as if trying to charm him with everything she had. Joseph just sat there with his legs crossed, his expression cold and aloof, looking like someone owed him $1 million. How is he ever going to win anyone over acting that cold, even with someone he likes? As I was thinking, I looked up and my eyes met Joseph's. I flinched, lost my balance, and fell right off the chair. My tailbone felt like it had shattered. A colleague sitting nearby snickered. "You want me to just give you that chair? A special gift for spying on the boss." I rolled my eyes and shakily got to my feet, just as Sarah was coming out. She looked at me, smirking about something. "He wants to see you." I walked in, rubbing my butt. Joseph was leaning back in his chair, arms crossed, staring at me coldly. I took my hand off my butt and forced myself to stand up straight. "Does it hurt?" Joseph glanced at me, asking in a seemingly casual tone. I shook my head and walked over to him. "A little pain is nothing in the grand scheme of things. If you can't act normal, get out." I replied instantly. Speaking too quickly sent a jolt of pain up my spine. I winced, my hand instinctively going back to my butt. Joseph got up and walked over. "Let me see." I stared at him in shock. "You want to see my butt?" He must have realized how that sounded, because he stopped in his tracks, looking awkward. "Or you could just go to the hospital. I'm really fine. I'm your bodyguard, your top bodyguard. A little fall like this is like a scratch." Joseph shot me a look, a cold smile on his lips. "You'd better be." I smiled back. "So what did you need me for?" Getting down to business, Joseph cleared his throat and spoke, a little unnaturally. "My mother is back from overseas." I froze, not knowing what to say. Joseph's relationship with his mom was complicated. His parents divorced when he was little. When he was 16, they fought a bitter custody battle over his younger brother, to the point where they vowed never to speak to each other again. His dad won, taking his brother back to their hometown. The original plan was for each parent to take one child. After his dad took his brother, his mom wanted to take him abroad. But in Joseph's eyes, he had always been their second choice. The whole affair left deep scars. Even though his mom later tried to make it up to him, Joseph adamantly chose to stay in the country. His fear of the dark was also tied to a memory from when he was 19. If the commotion hadn't been so loud, if a neighbor hadn't noticed and jumped from his own balcony to Joseph's with a baseball bat to subdue the attacker, Joseph might not be the person I'm protecting today. Or rather, if I hadn't been that neighbor who burst in with a baseball bat that night, he wouldn't have specifically requested me to join his company upon my graduation at 22, offering me a high salary to become his top bodyguard. Was it fate? Maybe. Maybe I was always meant to protect him. I pressed my lips together. "Are you going to see her?" Honestly, I didn't want him to go. I hated seeing him feel insecure. But if he didn't go, he wouldn't be Joseph. He never lets his emotions show. "I'm going." He rolled his neck, and a small corner of a mark hidden by his collar became visible. I frowned. "She's rented out a mountain villa. She wants me and my brother to celebrate her birthday with her." He glanced at me, then quickly looked away, his eyes fixed on the desk in front of him. "You know, I'm scared of the dark. And I'm even more scared of going to a strange place. I don't really want them to know about it, so can you come with me? At least if you're there, I won't show any emotions I shouldn't in front of them." Joseph's expression was sincere, as if he were peeling back layers of his long-sealed heart just for me. He seemed terrified I would refuse, and his usually calm, deep eyes swirled with a hidden turmoil. I suddenly remembered what Sarah had told me yesterday. I was so frustrated and confused about why Joseph was mad that I went to her for help. As for why I went to her, well, she always seemed to be able to analyze the feelings I was too close to see. She just repeated her usual theory, that I liked Joseph and just hadn't realized it yet. But yesterday, for some reason, I didn't argue. Even if I do like him, there's no way he'd like me back. "Felix, the boss is different with you. Very different." When Joseph and I arrived at the villa, his mother was still on her way back from picking up his brother. When the villa's manager told Joseph, he just gave a soft and went back to his work, seeming completely unfazed by his mother's whereabouts. If this had been him at 19, he would have run to the balcony, sadly wondering aloud if she only cared about his brother, since the first thing she did upon returning was to pick him up, while he only got a notification. And 17-year-old me would have been hiding on my own balcony below, secretly listening to his story and reaching out a hand to pat his head through the air. I turned and looked at Joseph's back, reaching out my hand to pat the air again. Even now, he probably felt a flash of disappointment. I don't know when I fell asleep next to Joseph. I had meant to make my own bed with the sheets I'd brought, but somehow I ended up just lying there watching him work, and then I was out. When I woke up, Joseph was next to me. His hair was messy, falling over his forehead. He'd clearly been asleep for a while. I turned to look at him, listening to his steady breathing. There was only one blanket on the king-sized bed, and it was wrapped almost entirely around me. Joseph had just a small corner of it covering his stomach. He looked a little pathetic. I couldn't help but let out a laugh. Just then, Joseph's eyes fluttered open. It was already 5 o'clock, and with the curtains drawn, the room was dim. But the low light didn't hide our emotions. In the enclosed space, our breathing and heartbeats were amplified. I could clearly hear his breath quickening and the frantic thump of my own heart, which was loud enough to deafen me. Our gazes were locked. We both knew that just looking away would break the tension, but neither of us did. Felix. His voice was a little rough. The unspoken feeling between us was now covered by a thin sheet of paper, ready to be torn by the slightest touch. Joseph's Adam's apple bobbed. He opened his mouth, but no sound came out. My heart felt like it was in his hands. Watching him hesitate was agonizing. Bro, Mom and I have been waiting forever. Are you awake? The strings holding the puppet snapped. Joseph seemed to be yanked back to his senses, and he shot up in bed. While he was turned away, looking towards the door, I cursed under my breath. Seriously? Perfect timing. He's been asleep for 3 hours. What were you doing before? Damn it, what's the point of interrupting now? Joseph looked annoyed too. He didn't even bother to fix his clothes before going to open the door. I lay in bed, not sure if I should move or stay put. Joseph's brother, Kevin, was spoiled and rude, but he was still a little scared of Joseph. He deflated the moment Joseph opened the door. He was about to speak when he saw me in the bed. Kevin looked at me, then at Joseph, pointing a finger at me, his face a mask of shock. What are you doing in my brother's bed? You little brat, is that really a question you should be asking? Joseph swatted his hand down. Where else do you sleep if not in a bed? But he's a bodyguard. How can he be in your bed? Joseph shot back. Why can't a bodyguard sleep in my bed? Am I the emperor? Kevin was speechless, but he still looked at me with resentment. I couldn't be bothered with him. I was about to just lie back down and wait for him and his mom to finish dinner, but my eyes met Joseph's as he turned back around. His cold gaze held a trace of tenderness. Aren't you hungry? Huh? I said, dazed. I'll order something later. No need. Come eat with me. He didn't give me a chance to refuse, just walked past Kevin and left. Kevin was clearly unhappy and ran after him. Why are you bringing him to a family dinner? They walked quickly, and I couldn't hear Joseph's reply. I hesitated for a moment, then grabbed my jacket and followed them out. The last time I saw Joseph's mother was when I was 17. I had just moved in next door to them, and every day from my balcony, I could hear her fighting with his father. Sometimes, I could hear her taking her anger out on Joseph. It was always the same lines. If she hadn't gotten pregnant with him, she never would have married his father. If she hadn't married his father, she might have had a happy life. I never heard Joseph talk back. Most of the time, his mother just yelled by herself until his younger brother started crying for her, at which point her attention would shift. After every scolding, Joseph would go out onto his balcony and tell all his troubles to a little good weather charm he had hanging there. And I would sit on my balcony and listen to him talk to it. If an intruder hadn't broken into his house, he probably never would have known he had a neighbor like me. Watching him sit next to his mother, looking more uncomfortable than if he were with a stranger, I reached out and patted his shoulder. He flinched, but his breathing seemed to even out. Joseph's mother noticed the gesture. I looked up and saw her watching me. Feeling a little guilty, I pulled my hand back. She just gave me an unreadable smile. You must be Felix. I remember you. You were only 17 when you saved our Joseph. In the blink of an eye, you're 25. I smiled and nodded. It's been 8 years. Joseph's mother nodded meaningfully. Yes, 8 years. Joseph's expression was neutral, as if he didn't care what we were talking about. It was Kevin who broke the tense atmosphere at the table. He cleared his throat and changed the subject. I'm heading off to study in the UK next month. Bro, will you see me off? Sorry, I don't have time. Joseph didn't even look up, just continued eating after he spoke. Do you really not have time? Or do you just not want to see me? As he said this, Kevin's eyes started to turn red. I nudged Joseph's leg with my own. Joseph cut a small piece of steak and ate it without a word. His mother sighed, and the atmosphere grew even heavier. I know you've always held a grudge against us, but your brother really does look up to you. Every time he's on break, he wants to come see you. Joseph, I know your father and I have wronged you, but your brother has never done anything to hurt you. You won't give him your contact info, you won't let him see you. Isn't that a little cruel? The hand cutting the steak trembled, and the sound of the knife scraping against the plate was jarring. Kevin patted his mother's arm, looking worriedly at Joseph, who had almost cut himself. Joseph froze for a moment, then his expression returned to normal. I really don't have time. If you don't believe me, you can ask my secretary for my schedule. Besides, if I really didn't want to see you, I wouldn't have come today. Kevin wanted to see me, and he has. I won't have changed much in a month, so there's no need to see me again. Of course, he said, resuming cutting his steak, if you must label me as cruel, feel free. Whatever makes you happy. With a loud bang, Joseph's mother slammed her hands on the table. The dishes rattled. I instinctively jumped up and stood in front of Joseph, shielding him with my arm. Joseph, must you be like this? Kevin was startled too, and he pulled on his mother's arm, trying to get her to sit down. She looked at me. What are you doing, standing in front of him? Do you think I would hurt him? Joseph calmly wiped his mouth before gently pulling me back behind him. You asked me to dinner and I came. I've explained why I can't make it next month. I don't believe I've done anything wrong. Also, my bodyguard is protecting me. You have no need to yell at him. Bro, Mom didn't mean it like that. We just feel that you're not as… Kevin hesitated. As close to us as you are to your bodyguard. We're family. Why do you keep pushing us away? Because to me, for the last 8 years, Felix has been more like my family. My heart stopped. It took a full 3 seconds for his words to sink in. He said I was his family. I couldn't help but smile. But his words didn't make everyone happy. Joseph's mother let out a cold laugh. If I had known you already considered someone else your family, I never would have asked you to celebrate my birthday. It seems we were being sentimental for nothing. Bro. Kevin tried to say something, but his mother pulled him up from his seat. Why are you still calling him bro? Does he treat you like a brother? He's already found a new family. What are you doing here being so sentimental? It was unclear who that last part was directed at. She turned and left with Kevin, not even glancing at Joseph. With a final slam of the door, the restaurant was empty except for the two of us. The birthday celebration had lasted a grand total of 10 minutes. I turned to face Joseph, and he looked up at me, a tiny muscle twitching in his brow. The Joseph who was supposedly unaffected by anyone or anything didn't exist. The Joseph I knew was sensitive. He often remembered what employees said about him and would hold it in all day, only to ask me when he got home, am I really as cold as they say? I reached out and patted his head. I don't think so. I'm terrible at comforting people. Every time Joseph asked me, I'd rack my brain for the right words and end up with something simple. But he still only ever talked to me. If you're not comfortable here, I can take you home. Joseph didn't move. He just sat there, shrouded in an invisible gloom. I sat down next to him, keeping him company in silence. He'd made an effort to dress up today. His hair was all slicked back, making his features look even sharper. Felix, he said my name. Yeah. Do you ever find that your memories of the past get a little hazy? I thought for a moment and nodded. Yeah, sometimes. It's hard to remember things from a long time ago. He smiled faintly. On August 13th, 2017, in the moment I was about to die, I saw someone. The world around us grew quiet, as if his words were painting a picture in the air. That memory is something I've always tried to push away. Even now, I can't remember the details of how I realized someone was under my bed, how I fought with him, how he strangled me with a rope. Every time I think about it, the only thing I remember clearly is you. You were just in your pajamas, your hair was a mess. You looked like a madman. But Felix, then, and in all the time since, you've been so important to me. My heart was racing, a roaring in my ears. Felix, I don't care about anyone else. But you, can you promise you'll always stay with me? You moved in with Joseph? Sarah's voice echoed through the coffee shop. I nearly dove under the table. Can you keep it down? Sarah covered her mouth, her eyes still wide. Wait, you just went to his mom's birthday party. How did you level up so fast? I sighed and shook my head. If only it were that simple. What do you mean? My brows furrowed in frustration. Yesterday, he told me I was important to him and asked if I would stay with him. You have no idea. My heart was about to pound out of my chest. I thought for sure he was going to confess. But after I nodded, he just went home without another word. I was up all night trying to figure out what he meant. Then this morning, he just calls and tells me to move into his place starting today. Sarah shrugged. That's basically a confession. I slumped onto the table, my head about to explode. How is that a confession? We're still acting the same as before. I used to stay at his place all the time anyway. It's not like anything's different. He never said he liked me. What if this is all in my head and he just thinks of me as a really good friend? Then just ask him. Sarah was getting exasperated. Do you have to wait for Joseph to spell everything out for you? You have a mouth, don't you? If you like him, just say it. And then what? What if he doesn't like me back? So what if he doesn't? What do you lose? You're his bodyguard whether you confess or not. But if you confess, you could be more than just his bodyguard. She leaned in, her voice serious. Trust my fanfic radar. If I can see how deep in the closet you are, I can definitely read the boss. I'm sure of it. He likes you too. Just then, a message from Joseph popped up. I froze, then opened the voice note in front of Sarah. She leaned over like a curious puppy. I told you to go home and pack. Did you run downstairs to go on a date with Sarah instead? I instinctively looked around, then glanced at the doorway as if I'd seen a ghost. Sarah chose that moment to whisper, I think he's jealous. I disagree. I think he's about to get mad. Sarah shivered. This is him when he's mad? A rare sight. Huh? I see it every day. Speak. Time always flew when I was talking to Sarah. I glanced at my watch and realized we'd been at the coffee shop for an hour. Joseph's place was only a 10-minute walk from here. I could have crawled there and back by now. It was well past closing time, no wonder he'd caught me. Joseph stared at me, his voice coated in ice. A stray thought crossed my mind. If we were actually together, would I be the one who was scared of my spouse? Joseph looked exasperated. What are you daydreaming about now? I didn't answer because my daydream had already progressed to our wedding. Who would be top and who would be bottom? Sarah nudged me. Wipe that dirty grin off your face. I wiped away some drool. Joseph's face was a stone mask. He didn't even want to ask anymore. I don't want to say it a second time. Okay. Such a temper. I smiled to myself as I followed him. Sarah nudged me again, giving me a look that said, don't you forget what we talked about. Joseph is incredibly hard to deal with when he's mad. Sarah texted me almost every hour asking if I'd confessed yet, and every time I'd reply from the sofa, he's still not talking to me. A while later, she sent me a long paragraph. I've already written them to their wedding day. Can you please speed things up? I looked at her story and smiled. Rewrite it. Why? I want to be the top. What's a top? A clear, cool voice came from right behind me. I was so startled I threw my phone onto the sofa and spun around to see Joseph. He had just gotten out of the shower and was drying his hair. He must have only seen the last part of the conversation, because he looked completely confused. He doesn't even know what a top is? My eyes darted around as I made something up. It's like being the boss. I gave a weak laugh. Just kidding. You're the boss. You're the boss. Joseph frowned, looking inexplicably angry again, and sat down next to me. I froze, then sat back down as well. He just sat there, not saying a word, not looking at his phone. I didn't dare look at my phone either, just sat there next to him on pins and needles. We sat like that for half an hour. Finally, Joseph couldn't take it anymore. Don't you have anything to say to me? Oh right, there's nothing going on between me and Sarah. She doesn't like me, I don't like her. Not that. Joseph cut me off, his patience wearing thin. I blinked. Then what? Joseph was fuming. Don't you want to know why I asked you to move in? Why? The air suddenly went still. I may be slow, but I had a powerful feeling that what Joseph was about to say was what I had been longing to hear for days. He said quietly, "Felix, I thought you understood what I said that night." Our eyes met. "Do I really have to say, 'I like you' out loud? Or will you never take the first step towards me?" I could barely speak. "And no, that's not it." "Then let me say it again." He moved a little closer. "Felix, I like you. I want you to live here forever. I want you to be with me forever. I don't care if my mom or my brother care about me, but I care about you. You're far more important than I even said that day. Do you understand now?" I was too stunned to speak. Even though I had anticipated these words, hearing them from his own mouth still felt surreal. "When did you start liking me? Didn't you like Sarah before this? Was it on your mom's birthday? Or was it like what Sarah said, that you've liked me all along and just didn't realize it?" Taking a shallow breath, I heard Joseph say, "I knew I liked you 8 years ago." 8 years ago, when I saved him. My heart nearly stopped. Before he could say more, 1,000 theories were swirling in my head. After you left Shanghai, I waited for you. I waited for you to become an adult, for you to graduate. And then, on the day you graduated, I pulled you back to my side. I was confused. "Then why did you tell me you liked Sarah?" At this, Joseph's expression turned a little unnatural. I asked tentatively, "You didn't pull some TV drama move where you pretend to like someone else to make me jealous, did you?" Joseph cleared his throat and looked away. "Well, it worked, didn't it? Are you going to tell me you don't like me now?" I buried my face in my hands and laughed in exasperation. "Dude, if you hadn't said you liked Sarah, I would have confessed ages ago. Okay?" Joseph nodded, a smile playing on his lips. I looked at him, and suddenly my own heart felt light and joyful. "So we're together now." I looked down into his eyes. Joseph turned his head away, biting his lip to hold back a smile. He clearly couldn't hold it for long. After 2 seconds of silence, the room filled with the sound of 2 people laughing like idiots. There was no specific reason for it, but we just couldn't stop. As I was clutching my stomach, laughing so hard it hurt, a thought suddenly struck me. I sat up straight, thinking back. "Wait a minute. What?" I sized him up. "How did you come up with a plan involving playing hard to get and misdirection? That doesn't seem like you." Joseph gave an awkward laugh and tried to change the subject. "Aren't you going to take a shower? Did Sarah teach you that?" Joseph's silence was his confirmation. I shook my head, speechless. So she was playing both sides? What a schemer. Joseph raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean? She wasn't just teaching you how to get me. She was teaching me too. This afternoon at the coffee shop, she was helping me figure out our whole situation." Joseph said, "Oh," as if he wasn't surprised at all. With that topic over, we fell back into an awkward silence. Neither of us seemed to have adjusted to this new way of being together, and we just sat there fidgeting. My hands clenched unconsciously. We're a couple now, right? What are couples supposed to do? So, should we kiss? Joseph whipped his head around to stare at me. My heart was pounding. Isn't that what couples do? Is it? The air was thick with awkwardness and embarrassment. Me, yes. Joseph, right? I nodded. Right. Right about what? Are we going to kiss or not? So? I glanced at him. Joseph was silent for 3 seconds, then said, inexplicably, "Aren't you going to take a shower?" What does showering have to do with kissing? I was going to lose my mind. I closed my eyes, then stood up. "I'm going to take a shower." I'm pretty sure I took the fastest shower of my life. I basically just ran in, rinsed off, and ran right back out. Joseph was still leaning against the sofa. He looked up at me and froze. He didn't ask why I was so fast, because his gaze, after lingering on my body for 3 seconds, quickly darted away. I wasn't wearing a shirt, and it was intentional. I sat down next to him. The cool breeze from the window raised goosebumps on my skin. "Is this okay?" I asked. Our shoulders were pressed together. I could hear his breathing, feel the slight movement of his body with each breath, and sense the tension in his rigid right shoulder. The ever-composed Joseph, for the first time, sounded nervous as he said to me, "I've never done this before." I held back a laugh. "It's not that hard." At that, he looked at me. The nervousness was gone, replaced by something deep and heavy. I knew with absolute certainty that I wanted to kiss him. The feeling erupted in an instant. With perfect synchronicity, one of us cupped the back of the other's head. The other wrapped an arm around a waist. And then, as if we'd rehearsed it 1,000 times, our lips met. We moved from the sofa to the bedroom, and the dark night finally gave way to dawn. At 3 in the morning, Joseph was sleeping soundly beside me. I don't know how long I lay there watching him, a sense of bliss filling the entire room. I suddenly thought, I wish it could always be like this. I kissed his eyes, his lips, his neck. I was just starting to unbutton his shirt when the buzz of a text message interrupted me. I frowned. I picked up his phone and saw a message from Sarah. Why aren't you answering? What are you two doing? Sarah. OMG. You're that fast? I thought you were gonna drag this out for way longer. Does this mean I can write whatever I want about you guys now, sir? I froze. What did you call me? Sarah didn't reply for a full minute. Finally, the typing bubble appeared. Is this Joseph? Are you drunk? 1 second I thought I was talking to an idiot. The next, I realized the phone in my hand didn't have a case on it. I snapped my head around. My phone was on the floor. So the one in my hand was? Wait, something isn't right. I scrolled up through the chat history. Sarah and Joseph texted almost every day. Yesterday, she told him, Felix is getting ready to confess. On his mom's birthday, confess soon. Felix admitted he likes you. My fingers trembled as I scrolled up faster, all the way to when Joseph first added Sarah. Joseph had discovered Sarah's fanfiction long before I did. And instead of being angry, he had asked her if he could really win me over by following the plot of her stories. In shock, I opened the story. Playing hard to get, misdirection, it was exactly what Joseph had been doing for the last month. So this whole month, Sarah was helping Joseph? I scrolled down quickly. A day later, Joseph had messaged Sarah. I tried it. He didn't react. Sarah, don't be discouraged. Trust me, Felix definitely likes you. Joseph, I can't feel it. Sarah, leave it to me. I'm going in deep. I'll come back from my double agent mission with an answer. And then, it was Sarah giving Joseph daily reports on what I'd said. I lay in bed, completely numb. Suddenly, there was a shift beside me, and Joseph plucked the phone from my hands. I turned to look at him at the guilt in his eyes. Are you going to explain? Joseph took a deep breath and began. When you came back to Shanghai and started working here, I was so happy. I knew I could see you every day, instead of just missing you based on memories, but I knew my feelings were different, and that it would be harder for me to win your affection than it would be for anyone else. So at the time, I just thought, as long as you're by my side, that's enough. I don't have to say these things out loud, as long as we're closer than anyone else. Joseph paused, his lips pressing into a serious line. But people are greedy. You're handsome, and a lot of the women at the company like you. I was always hearing about another awkward confession you had to turn down. I started to get scared. I was afraid someone would ruin the closeness we had. I couldn't let that happen. I waited 4 years to get you back by my side, and I didn't want you to leave. Just as I was feeling this way, Sarah posted her fanfiction to her social media and forgot to block me. I couldn't help but click on it. I realized that my first reaction to seeing us in her story wasn't anger, but it was like a bottle of wine that had been sealed for years was suddenly opened. The aroma that had been trapped for so long burst out, and I knew if I didn't drink it then, I'd miss its peak. If I didn't act fast, I might never get another chance to say it. I didn't want to wait anymore. After that, well, you saw the chat logs. Sarah helped me pursue you. Joseph finished. I watched as his eyes grew redder and redder. If you can't accept this, don't worry about my feelings. I know I lied to. He didn't get to finish. I silenced him with a kiss. Soft lips crushed his words. I reached out and laced my fingers with his. I'm not mad at all. In the dim light, his dark eyes swirled with emotion. I'm just glad. Glad about what? That we didn't miss each other for too long. If we could do it all over again, I wish we had fallen in love when we were 19. Those 8 years of unspoken feelings must have been torture for you, too. I'm sorry. I was too slow. We fell asleep in each other's arms, as close as we could possibly be. It was like he was trying to make up for those 8 years with a vengeance, because Joseph showed no mercy. As the sky began to lighten, Joseph suddenly asked me why I had been so reckless, saving a stranger all those years ago. Weren't you scared? Of course I was. Any normal person would be afraid of dying. So my first reaction was that the most I could do to help was call the police. That night, I hid on my balcony and called them for him. I had no intention of fighting an intruder until I heard you scream for help. In that moment, it was like my soul was ripped from my body. I had this overwhelming feeling that if I didn't save you right then, you would die. I knew I couldn't let you die, so I rushed in. And in that moment, as I was about to die, I found my salvation.